Hey, it's Becca. I'm a website designer and a Squarespace educator, and I'm going to show you how I'm actually able to complete a website in one day. My little key to success is my CRM. I use Dubsado, there's Honeybook, there's so many different ones. I'll link a blog I did earlier a couple of years ago about why I chose Dubsado. But let me just go in and show you exactly how I do this. So first of all, I set the new project and I enter in the name, the client, usually I have to create a new client. I have statuses just so am able to organize. And then I go ahead down here and I add a date. This is really important because this is going to automatically pull into my contract, and it's going to automatically make my workflow go. So once I have created my project, I will add in the contract. And this is something I've created on the back end. I'm not going to go in exactly how to do that, but it's under templates. I've put in my contract. And I go to portal, I set a password, and then I activate it as well. That's pretty much all I do down here. Sometimes I have a referral source just so I can look back later. And then in invoices, I will add an invoice, and I usually have it set up as a payment plan of $15.50. I have a website in a day payment plan that goes out 7 days before the project start date. This is why it's important to make sure you put in that start date, and then 3 days after the project end date. Just the way I like to do it. And of course, right here is where you added a line item, and I would put the total of website in a day. And then the next and the biggest step for me is the workflow. So I have this already all set up. I just click one day website to design and I click apply. Right off the bat, they get the first email, which is their welcome guide email. And then I have created a to-do for me just to review the desired date if we need to work out some kinks with that, and get that set up. That has to happen before my contract and my invoice because those two things are dependent on the date. This is all stuff I've set up on the back end, and I'll show you a little bit more about that. But a little bit down the road. But next I have my client questionnaire. This is a form. So here again, I'm having email, but I'm sending a form. This is super important for me to gain information about their brand. And then I'm able to set up subsequent emails, whether it's, one day after the previous action or certain like 3 days before the website in a day. I have these emails go out to them. Now, the only time this doesn't work great is if I book a website in a day, like 3 days before, because if that's the case, they're getting a ton of emails in a couple days. So I try to make sure that I have at least a week where they can prep all this stuff. So I'm just going to quickly take you behind the scenes of how to create a workflow. There are some other great videos, but I'll just show you really quickly how I do it. So click settings icon. And if you go down to the bottom, you can add an action. So obviously I've created all these actions and you can go pretty in depth with these, but as you can see here, generally the ones I'm using is to send an email. That's a main one, or to send that form. If it's sending a form, that is something, again, I have to already create under templates, a form elsewhere. So we'll just go send form. And maybe it's, 2 days before project start date. I keep clicking end date. Let's just pretend that says start. And then right here, form templates, I need to make sure that I select the proper template. And then what's great about this is it's kind of already set up. So, hey, client name, as long as I've put in that client name, which you're required to put in their email, but you also want to have their first name, it'll automatically pull that. And it'll automatically, right here where it says form kind, it'll automatically pull that. So this is great. I mean, this does a lot of the back end work for me, and this is what allows me to do website in one day and be able to do it effectively, get the information I need, but also really serve my client well over the course of a week or multiple weeks, even though for me, the bulk of the work is just that one day. So drop any questions you guys have below. I'd be happy to answer them. And I would just love to know, do you guys want to know more about website in a day or specific Squarespace tutorials? Let me know.